This question, this question has built civilizations and it has destroyed them. And it has inspired acts of extraordinary compassion and justified unimaginable violence. It has given people hope in their darkest moments and hunted them in their quietest hours. Some say the answer is obvious, some say the question itself is meaningless, and yet it refuses to disappear. Does God exist? This question matters more than any other question humanity has ever asked. Because if God exists, life has ultimate meaning. Purpose is not invented, morality is not negotiable, death is not the end. But if God does not exist, meanings becomes our responsibility. Morality becomes a human construction, purpose becomes self-assigned, and existence becomes a silent accident. There is no neutral answer. Whatever you believe shapes how you live, how you judge right and wrong, and how you face suffering and death. For thousands of years, philosophers argued before science had instruments. They asked not what could be measured, but what must be true. They began with universe itself. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. Nothing comes from nothing. And the universe began. Time had a beginning, space had a beginning, matter had a beginning. So the question followed naturally. What caused the universe? Not something inside time, because time itself began. Not something made of matter, because matter itself began. The cause would have to be timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and unimaginable powerful. Philosophers gave this cause a name, God. Then came another argument, quieter but unsettling. The universe appears finely tuned for life. If gravity were slightly weaker, stars would never form. If it were slightly stronger, the universe would collapse it on itself. If the fundamental constant differed by even a fraction, chemistry would fail and life would be impossible. This raised a disturbing question. Is this an extraordinary accident or evidence of intention? Then there was morality. Why does evil feel wrong even when committing it benefits us? Why do humans feel moral obligation even when no one is watching? Why do we condemn injustice even across cultures and centuries? Is morality merely a survival instinct or does it point to something deeper? A moral law? Some argued suggests a moral lawgiver. Science responded calmly. It didn't deny mystery, it challenged necessity. The universe, scientists said, may have arisen from quantum fluctuations. Fine tuning may not be design, but selection biases. We observe this universe because only this kind of universe allows observers. No intention required, no designer necessary. Natural process given enough time, which can produce complexity without purpose. The universe does not need meaning to exist, it simply is. Then came the hardest question of all, suffering. If God is all powerful, why does suffering exist? If God is all loving, why allow pain? Children suffer, nature destroys without mercy, disease strikes without reason. This is not a philosophical inconvenience. This is a human wound. For many thinkers, this is the strongest argument against God, and no easy answer survives scrutiny. Believers responded carefully. Free will, they said, requires risk. A worry with real choice must allow real harm. Suffering, they argued, saves depth, compassion, and meaning. A painless world might be a shallow one. And some claimed something even more unsettling. God does not eliminate suffering, He endures it. Science continued its advance. It mapped the brain, it traced neurons, it explained behavior, but one mystery remained untouched: consciousness. Science can describe brain activity, but it cannot explain experience. Why does awareness exist at all? Why does matter give rise to thought? No equation explains what it feels like to be. Is consciousness merely complexity misunderstood? Or evidence that reality is more than matter? At the age of life, and another mystery appeared: near death experience. Some people reported awareness when brain activity had nearly stopped. Science called it hallucination. Faith called it transcendence. The data was controversial but persistent. Neither side could fully claim victory. Eventually, the debate reached a quiet realization: science can only test what is measurable. If God exists, He may exist beyond measurement. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, but belief without evidence is not proof. The the question may be beyond scientific resolution. Psychology offered another lens. Some believe because they feel God's presence, some disbelieve because they demand certainty. Both positions arise from human limits. Beliefs and disbeliefs are not opposite of intelligence. They are responses to uncertainty. And so we arrive at silence. God has not been proven. God has not been disproven. Science explains how the universe works. Philosophy asks what it means. And perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: the question is not only whether God exists, but what it means for how we live if He does, and what it means if He does not. If this question unsettled you, it has done its job. Because the greatest questions are not meant to be answered quickly. They are meant to be lived.